Okay, party people. We are going to tackle the end of looking at Mandela and the South African situation of apartheid as our second out of three human rights um, lenses. Okay, so we're going to look at this article, and I'm going to do it on this commie program. So I can highlight and comment while I talk. All right. So the big question here is what happens after apartheid? How do you recover? All right. So the apartheid was brought down. It really wasn't a model that worked in the late 20th century. All right. Other countries gave up these methods of controlling their population, and the United States, along with other Western countries and other Eastern countries too, were not trading with South Africa because of this. We're putting a lot of pressure on them internationally. So it fell. All right. So then this is what happens afterward. Okay. How do you deal with a white minority population that treated the majority black population not like human beings, but rather like animals with massive amounts of human rights violations? How do you still hold a country together, right, and not cause a civil war and bloodshed? Right, this is a really big deal. So let's take a look. All right. So like I said, we are going to look at what happened after the apartheid. How do you recover? All right. So the article is a summary of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. All right. I want you to take a look at this word reconciliation. All right. This word's used a lot. It's to reconcile or to heal. All right. To come to a conclusion. All right. And that is going to be the goal of South Africa. All right. Let's get down to the meat of it. This shouldn't take too long. Just want you to walk away with knowing a couple of things. Let's look at the first paragraph and see if we can pull out some key stuff and summarize it. All right. South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation Commission is charged with granting amnesty for political crimes. All right, let's look at this keyword here, amnesty. All right. So amnesty is to not charge them, to let them go, to give forgiveness. Okay. So this commission is charged with granting amnesty for political crimes, investigating past human rights violations, and offering reparations to the victims. Okay. Or a reparation is kind of like money or land for the damages that they had. With the negotiated end to the apartheid in 1993, the new majority government faced the daunting task of addressing the political crimes of the previous era. The Truth Commission has played a key role in facilitating transitional justice, right? Because they got to transition from the white minority government to a black majority government, and building a more peaceful community. The commission has also benefited from the credibility and clear moral vision of its leader, Nobel Peace Prize recipient Bishop Desmond Tutu. Right? The Bishop Desmond Tutu, he ends up being the head of the United Nations, which is a really big deal. Okay, so let's just mark this up a little bit. So let's put a comment over here. I don't know why that didn't work. All right, so the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, right? What they tried to do was they were a group tasked with righting the wrongs of the past government but also holding the country together. Okay. Let's just do that. And a little spell check here. Okay. I'm also going to put another thing here which says, transition. The old, I don't know how else to say it, I'm going to put white dominated colonial government fell. The democratic, more diverse one emerged. The trick was how to do it peaceful. Okay. All right. Through the Amnesty Committee, the Commission offers criminal and civil amnesty to individuals in exchange for full confessions. All political crimes committed after the banning of the African National Congress are eligible for amnesty. Individuals who do not confess their crimes may still be subject to prosecution, and information from other confessions may be used in such prosecutions. The carrot of amnesty, combined with the stick of possible prosecution, has brought many political criminals forward to confess to claim amnesty. All right, so I believe that they wanted confessions to create closure and evidence for reparations and healing, and to put the apartheid and its horrors behind them. Right? I also look at this and I think, this also reduces the amount of possibility that victims would lash out in violence later. Okay. Let's look at this paragraph. There are practical political reasons for such broad grants of amnesty. The white minority is still economically and militarily powerful. It's very possible that the old regime would begin a new uprising rather than face prosecution for their crimes. Also, without confessions, there would not be enough evidence to effectively prosecute apartheid-era crimes. Amnesty also suits the Commission's philosophical approach to justice. Justice is achieved not by retribution, but by the restoration of community. Healing communities require truth-telling, forgiveness, and acceptance and trust. All right, we're going to highlight that. If I can get my highlighter to work. There we go.
Mommy, you like the soft teddy bear I put right next to you?
All right. Second to last paragraph, almost done. The Human Rights Violations Committee investigates cases of amnesty-era political violence and violations of human rights. The branch of the Commission has held public meetings all across the nation where victims of violence or human rights era violations can tell their stories. The meetings have been widely televised and covered by other media. The public telling is intended to bring recognition to the victims and give the victims a sense of closure in their ordeals. This committee's approach also reflects a sense of restorative justice. Okay, that's a term you're probably familiar with. And how do we make the wrongs of the past? This doesn't solve all the problems. This confessions and telling the stories, but it's part of the process. All right, the third branch of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission is the Reparation and Rehabilitation Committee. This committee helps victims find needed medical or psychological treatment. It also aids victims in such matters as securing pensions and providing education for their children. The committee can also recommend symbolic recognition for victims of extraordinary suffering. This could involve naming a clinic for the victim, creating a scholarship in their name. Here again, the emphasis is on truth-telling and healing of the victim's wounds and restoring their trust in the community, and on helping victims to achieve forgiveness. All right, so let's just go back. That's the end of the article. Let's go back and just highlight the different things this commission does. All right, so I'll go back with my highlighter. I'm going to put it in blue, so they're all the same. All right, first paragraph was just an introduction paragraph, and it just tells us what the Truth Commission is. All right, we went over that. Now let's look at the three things that it does. The first thing is that it offers amnesty to individuals in exchange for their confessions. All right, it wants them to confess. All right, the second thing is that it investigates cases of amnesty or political violence and human rights violations of human rights. All right, so offers the amnesty, asks for them to confess, and it investigates where confessions should be taking place. And then the third part is it helps with reparations and rehabilitations of victims, right? I'm going to put that at the end just as a summary point. All right, this is an example of how you should go through a article, pick out the most important information, and so conclusion. Three things that the commission does. Oop, that's not what I wanted. One, grant amnesty to violators. Two, seek confessions and stories. Three, oh, that all just got erased. All right, we'll try that one more time. Let's just write it like this. One, provide amnesty to violators. Two, seek confessions and stories. And three,
Forgiveness.
Three, provide reparations to victims. All right, one more little box here. Technology is killing me. In conclusion, 1 through 3 are how South Africa sought to transition government without a bloody civil war. Okay, guys, that's the long and the short of it. We will talk more about this coming up. Look for the small assignment that accompanies with this in Google Classroom. Thanks.